and welcome to the Webcast for Monday, July 21st. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. We have a very deep marine layer in place this morning with low clouds extending all the way back to the lower coastal slopes. Clearing will be slow today, and some of the beaches and maybe even some of the coastal valleys will probably not clear at all. And that is going to set the tone for this week as we head into a week that will be decidedly unsummer-like across the region. I'll go ahead and start with our upper air maps this morning because they really tell the story of the week. It's a pattern we essentially never see this time of year, and that is one of a deep trough anchored over the west coast. Even in short duration, this would be somewhat unusual for this time of year, but we will see this deep troughing pattern hold in place or even strengthen further for the entire duration of this week, perhaps finally starting to ease up towards the weekend or early next week. Despite how unusual this pattern is, there's really only so much you can say about it. Essentially planned for a week of May-like weather with a very deep marine layer and temperatures running far below seasonal normals. Here's a look at today's forecast highs, and this will actually be probably about the warmest day this week in many areas. By tomorrow, we cool off a couple more degrees in most spots, and beyond that, there will be little change through at least Saturday. Highs will be mainly in the 70s to low 80s across the lower mountains, upper 70s and 80s in the coastal valleys, and mid 80s to low 90s in the San Joaquin Valley. And again, there will be a deep marine layer all week, with low clouds frequently extending back to the lower coastal slopes with slow clearing and patchy drizzle. Minimum humidity will be mainly between 15 and 30% above and inland from the deep marine layer influence this week, except for single digits and teens in the deserts. Recoveries will be mainly fair to good away from the drier deserts. Because of the strong troughing pattern, there will be enhanced onshore flow and breezy conditions across the interior much of this week. Southwest to northwest winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts to 45 miles per hour and at times stronger will frequently surface across the mountain ridges and desert passes, along with a strong afternoon sea breeze west of the coastal slopes. We're expecting a mainly dry forecast this week. The deep troughing pattern will keep the monsoon well at bay. However, as the trough reaches its peak intensity later this week, isolated afternoon showers and wet thunderstorms will be possible over the central and eastern Sierra on Wednesday and Thursday, but these should not be a big deal, either in terms of moisture or fire potential. Looking a little further ahead, a slow warming trend may begin by around Sunday, but prevailing near to below normal temperatures are likely to extend well into next week, as we really have to start wondering now when, if ever, the real summer heat will show up across California this year. With the cool and fairly humid weather, dead fuel moistures will be mostly on steady or rising trends this week and will be mainly above normal, with ERCs trending below normal. So to sum up, and as you have probably gathered, the unusually cool temperatures this week will keep fire danger far below normal in most areas. Conditions will be more typical of mid-spring than mid-summer, and you can essentially treat this as a typical May week, though we're certainly well past then in the growing cycle. Nonetheless, initial attacks should be much lighter than normal for what is typically a very busy time of year, and any fires will struggle to extend across burn periods. As is usually the case in these cool onshore flow patterns, the one area that could buck the trend would be the deserts and desert slopes. While they will also be much cooler than normal, they will see periods of windy and dry conditions and resultant elevated fire weather conditions for much of this week. The desert areas generally haven't yet seen enough monsoonal moisture to substantially reduce fire danger. But by and large, this week looks remarkably unlike what late July typically looks like across South Ops, and we'll just have to wait and see how long these unseasonable conditions will last. That's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. The next one will be on Tuesday, July 22nd.